and welcome back to the Woldenburn YouTube channel. My name is Emily and I am just so glad that you are here today. We have a typical podcast episode ahead of us for this video. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much for clicking on and checking out my video, and if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. It is Easter Sunday, so happy Easter if that's something that you celebrate. It's been a little bit of a funnier day. We did the early church service at our church, which was lovely, but then it's kind of weird because we were back home from church before 10 a.m. so the day feels a little bit wonky, but that's fine. The boys are down for a nap. My husband's working in the office, so I am taking the opportunity to try and film another episode, so we'll see how this goes. We don't have really many other plans for today. I've got to hurry up and film this so that I can fill a few Easter eggs to hide in the backyard for the boys to find, and it'll all be good. Which, I suppose I should pause. In case you're new, I'm Emily, as I said, and I live with my husband and our two beautiful little boys in Kentucky in the United States, and I'm a stay-at-home wife and mum, and that's a full-time job. I am not particularly active on any form of social media other than Telegram or YouTube, I guess. My husband came out for water, so awkward. I can't film with him around. As I was saying, I'm not particularly active on social media. I have an Instagram account, but I have not logged into it since September of 2025, and I just haven't felt the need to go back on there. I do have a website with a blog. It's just a WordPress blog, but I'm hoping to post a few more things over there. So if you're interested, that's linked down below. And if you want to get in touch with me, I have my email down below, and also you can just message me on Ravelry. I'm on Ravelry all the time, just looking at patterns. I don't really use it much for forums or groups or anything. It's mainly just patterns and looking at all of the patterns and all the things that I could knit if I had limitless amounts of time. But yes, so all of that will be down below, as well as links to any of the patterns or YouTube channels or anything that I talk about will be, it'll be linked down below. So I have two finished objects. One of them I am not going to share with you because it is a cowl that is for a test knit. That's not, the pattern hasn't been released yet, and the designer marked it as teasable, so I'm just not going to talk about it. When the pattern is released, I will share it properly. The other one is I have finished my Jovis Duster that I was test knitting for Devin of the McPurly Podcast. I knit a cropped version of that pattern because it's supposed to be like a full length, like almost ankle length type cardigan, and I was like, well, I love the shaping of it, but I would never wear a super long cardigan like that. Like, it just wouldn't be practical. And so I asked Devin if I could test a shorter cropped version. She was like, absolutely. So I finished that one. I don't have it with me, but I do have a couple of pictures that I can pop up here. I knit the 4th size. I used Lion Brand Wool Ease yarn in the, I think it's just the Royal colorway, and I knit it, the body portion, on a US size 4, which is a 3.5 millimeter, and the sleeves I had to go down to a US 2, which is a 2.75 millimeter. I think that's correct. There's a couple of like in between sizes. Like there's a 3 millimeter needle, which is like a 2.5, and I think that there's a 1.5, which is the 2.5 millimeter. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it was a 2.75 millimeter needle. And I had to go down that much because the sleeves were just in stockinette and the body was in like a rib stitch pattern. And in order to maintain the same gauge, I had to go down. It turned out pretty well. I've recently been having some weight fluctuations, so I think I went down a little bit in weight from the time when I started the cardigan to when I finished the cardigan, and so it is very easily able to close in the front. Now, the Jovis Duster is supposed to be just an open cardigan that just kind of sits to the side, but I think for mine, I have a couple of different options. Well, three. One, I can just add some buttons to it on the front, and buttons or snaps or something, because there's no buttonholes in the button bands, but I could find either a small enough button that would fit through, and you can just pop it through the stitches. I've done that before, and you just don't make a buttonhole, it's just there. Or you can do an afterthought buttonhole where you just kind of make a hole in the stitches. Or I could just get like some snap buttons and do that. So I could put some buttons on it and just put those, probably, because I think the V comes to about here, and so from there down to the bottom of the cardigan, 4 or 5 buttons, and do that. I am heavily or strongly considering ripping out both of the sleeves, and now that the test knit is done, like I needed to do it per the pattern for the test knit, but now that the test knit is done, I think I would like to, at the very least, pull the sleeves back out and re-knit them at a looser gauge, because the Woolies yarn is technically, I think it's classified as like a worsted or Aran weight, but it's a quite thin worsted weight yarn, if that's what it is. And so I was able to get gauge with it, but I do think that, particularly in the sleeves, the body is fine, because I knit it on a size 4, and so it was totally fine. But going down to that size 2 in the sleeves made them quite heavy, and so they tend to almost like pull the cardigan off. And so I think I would like to, at the very least, frog both of those sleeves and re-knit them back on a size 4 or maybe even a size 5 needle, and see what that does. The third option is, and I am also strongly considering this one, just completely frogging the whole project and using the yarn for something else. Just because, I don't know. I've spoken about this a little bit on my last couple of videos. I am stepping away from a lot of the test knitting that I have been doing and just trying to focus on just knitting the things that I want to knit and knitting for fun. I love test knitting, like don't get me wrong, it is such a fun thing to do, but I think that I have done so much of it in the last 3-ish years that it's just kind of taken over all of my knitting, and so then I feel so much pressure to only work on these specific objects because they've got deadlines on them. And then I think also the other thing that has happened is that in the last 3 years I've become much more confident in my garment knitting skills, and I am much more confident in my ability to tweak the pattern to make it fit. And when you're test knitting, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to follow the pattern and, other than things like length and just really, really basic adjustments, you're just supposed to do it. And I have gotten to the point where I kind of like to just play with the gauge and kind of do what I want and knit it certain ways. And if I don't like the detailing of this, like the sleeve shaping, if I don't like the sleeve shaping, to just tweak it and do it the way that I like it. And I think that that's the other part of it, that I'm getting to that point where I'm confident enough in my knitting skills that I don't always want to follow the pattern to a T anymore. And I think that was something that I really, really noticed with the Jovis cardigan, or the Jovis Duster, is that there were several things that I wanted to tweak and change, just like little minor things. Like in there it's a set-in sleeve, and so there's a ton of sleeve shaping with short rows for the sleeve cap. And I think for me, I would have preferred there to be like half as much short row shaping, just do a shorter sleeve cap and then do the sleeve. And just a few little things like that it would have resulted in a better garment for me if I wasn't doing it for a test knit. So the other thing is that I have had, of the garments that I have test knit recently, one, I wasn't able to finish it in time, and that was a cardigan I was supposed to get done in December or I think January, and I couldn't get it done in time. The gauge was much different, and it was just not working, and we had a rough December, and it wasn't gonna happen. So I didn't finish that one in time. There was one that I test knit, I think right before then, that I ended up completely frogging as soon as the test knit was over. Let's see, what was the other one? I feel like there's another couple that I thought of the other day that I've either just completely frogged them or donated them once they were done. And I think that that's a thing that I just need to pause on most test knits and focus instead on just playing with the knitting patterns and doing whatever I want with them. So I'm a little torn on the Jovis Duster. I think it is a really fun pattern. I think it's a really clever pattern. I don't think the yarn that I picked was quite right for it, and I really like the shape and everything of it, and I'm gonna let it sit and maybe try and wear it a couple more times and decide from there what I want to do with it. If I want to, because part of me is like, if I end up frogging the sleeves, do I just want to frog the whole thing? Do I love it enough that I would want to put that much more effort into it? And I'm just not sure. I'm not convinced. There's another one that I am test knitting at the moment that I absolutely love. I'm a little bit, I don't necessarily want to work on it exclusively right now, and I'm kind of a little tired of working on it so much, but I love it. I love it so much, and it is turning out so well, and I don't feel that way about the Jovis Duster. So I don't know, we'll see. But that is all that I have in the way of finished objects, and I have 3 works in progress to share with you today. So let's just go ahead and talk about this next garment that I have. This is the Sollas Tee, which is a test knit for Rebecca of the Knitting Podcast. And oh my goodness. I'm also discovering that Rebecca's design block, whatever. So I do a lot of sewing. This dress that I'm wearing is a dress that I made for myself. And they talk about how different sewing pattern companies have different fitting blocks, if you will. Like they have different standard measurements and stuff for the pattern that they use to draft all of their designs. And because they differ from pattern company to pattern company, there's oftentimes one pattern company that will work better for a specific person than the other pattern company. As an example, I have found that deer and doe patterns work really well for me, or at least in the past. I haven't really sewn many of them since having kids, but in the past they work really well for me. Or patterns from Jennifer Lauren Handmade seem to work really, really well for my particular body shape and makeup and everything. And I'm finding that that also carries through to knitting patterns, that there are certain designers that just work better. And Rebecca is my designer. I just love her patterns, and they just work so well for my body. And this one is no different. It is turning out so cute. So, here we go. This is the Sollas Tee, which is a pattern. It's going to be available in fingering weight and DK. It will have a crew neck option, a Henley neck option, and a full button-up option. So you could do like a little cardigan if you wanted to, which I'm definitely considering. And here's mine. I love this so much. It is kind of, it's another one of her summer patterns. It's in the same family as her Tulsa Tee, Tulsa Tank, her Lusk, and her Lusk Tee. I think those are the only 3 that are available now. This is going to be kind of in the same family. It's the same gauge requirements for fingering and DK. And oh, I'm so happy with it. It is fitting so beautifully. Like, it's like a glove. Like, it is just, oh. I am knitting the 3rd size with the F cup bust shaping, and this is a key aspect to why I think a lot of Rebecca's patterns fit me so well, is she's included bust shaping in them, and it makes a world of difference. Like, it really does. You can kind of see here, there's my decreases from the bust shaping, and I'm knitting this out of Night Bright Yarn Co. in the Coral Reef colorway, if I remember correctly. And it's got a little bit of pooling that you can kind of see here, which was a little bit annoying because, so let me back up. The way this is constructed is you cast on for the back, then you do one of the fronts, then you cut the yarn, then you do the other little bit of front. Like it's a little wedge of short rows. I don't think you can see that at all there, but there's a little wedge with some short rows to kind of shape the shoulder. And then it's the, what do you call it? Like a continuous set-in sleeve. So it's like worked in the round, but it's a set-in sleeve, and it's just such a good design. Again, it fits so perfectly. Anyway, so then you work the increases for the sleeves and for the fronts to a certain point, and then you cast on, I think you cast on a few stitches, but then you basically work the yoke. You work the yoke, and because I did the Henley detail, you're working back and forth, knit and purl, and then you join in the round, and I don't remember now which order. I think you separate for sleeves and then join in the round somewhere. I don't remember which order it happens. If you join in the round and knit for a bit and then separate for sleeves, or if you separate for sleeves and then join in knit in the round. Because of my Henley neckline, like you're working it flat for that portion. And then you just work the rest of the body in stockinette, and so knitting in the round until you hit to a certain point, and then you put in your decreases if you work the bust shaping. Like you don't have to, it's just an option in the pattern. And when I was using this yarn in the yoke, you can see that it just did it so beautifully. Like the colors are just so mixed up and varied and really, really nice. And then I started under the sleeves, and you can kind of see right in this like strip, like maybe this inch bit here, that it kind of started pooling a good bit. And so I started alternating skeins. And I really don't feel like it made that much of a difference. It impacted it slightly because then I didn't end up with just a splodge. I think it kind of made a spiral. So I'm okay with it. If I'm honest, I think the back probably looks a little bit better, but I think they might actually look about the same. But yeah, so I'm super happy with this. I only had 2 skeins of it, and so I just cast the body off a couple of days ago, and then because this is so fitted, I have found that I actually have to knit the body a bit longer than I normally do, and I ran into this with my 2 Sollas Tees that I did out of fingering weight 2 years ago now. That they have the bust shaping, and so I knit them to the measurement of like another sweater that I had. I was like, oh, okay, like this is gonna be fine. And they're just a smidge too short, and I think it's just because I was trying to explain it to my husband. When you have a fabric that stretches 4 ways, when it's on the body, if it stretches this way, then it's gonna shrink up this way, and if it stretches this way, then it shrinks up that way. It only can do so much growth, and so I have had to knit it a little bit longer, and so I wasn't sure if I had knit it long enough. So I actually stopped and did a mid-project block, which I don't think I have ever done before, and I blocked it. So I just pulled it off the mats earlier today, and it is perfect. So perfect, which I'm super happy about, because like I said, I have a limited amount of yarn, and this is all that I have left here. I have just split it into 2 balls, and my plan is to knit the sleeves as long as I possibly can. I don't think they're going to be as long as I would like them to be. I have come to the realization that at least for where I live, short sleeve wool garments of almost any kind just are not that practical for me. I struggle to wear them, particularly like more fitted, like nice sweaters like this. They really just need to have long sleeves. It just does not work super well to have short sleeve wool blend garments. I have not yet tried a wool and cotton blend garment, which I would really like to do, but I haven't done that yet, so I don't know about that. But as far as like a 75-25 superwash merino and nylon blend goes, short sleeves are just not that practical. I have a couple of short sleeve DK weight sweaters that I can wear as like vests in the wintertime, but I always have to have like long sleeves, something underneath them. So I've just come to the realization that at least for right now, I just need to knit long sleeve stuff and just accept the fact that I can't really wear knits in the summer, and that's okay. That's fine. But yeah, so I'm hoping to get, if I could get like down to here sleeves, like that would be great. I'm just not sure how long of sleeves I'll be able to do, because I have about 23 grams per sleeve. So I have around 46, 47 grams total, and I've split it into 2 balls of about 23 grams. And I'm just not sure how much sleeves that's going to get me, but I'm going to get as much as I possibly can. It's just looking so good. It looks very Eastery. I was like, oh man, if I had finished it just a little bit sooner, it's actually cool enough today that I probably could have worn it to church, but that's fine. I just wore this dress, which is also Eastery. So yeah, I have knit the body on a US size 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter needle. And then for the ribbing, I did a US size, I think I just pulled the 2 because I had the 2 out. So I just used the US size 2, or the 2.75 millimeter needle. So yeah, very, very pleased with it. I was kind of getting fed up with it, and just in the month of March, I really made myself focus on, oh, they're so smooth and like neat and tidy when they've been blocked. Like they're just, but for the month of March, I really made myself focus on just test knits and just working on test knits. And I'm a little bit over it. Like I was working away on the body of the Sollas Tee, and really just trying to like get some progress done on that, because I hadn't hardly worked on it during March. I was really focusing on the Jovis cardigan and the cowl that I was working on, because those had a sooner deadline. And this one's due at like the end of the month, like the 29th or something, I think. So you can expect the pattern to be out this month. That's the way that Rebecca usually does it, is she gives her test knitters like the longest amount of time that she possibly can. And so it should be out probably well, let me see what day of the week the 29th is. She usually does her releases on Fridays. The 29th is a Wednesday, so I expect that it will be coming out May 1st. We'll see. This is all just conjecture on my part, based off of Rebecca's previous pattern release schedule. So I expect that that will be when it is coming out, so I highly recommend you stay tuned with that pattern. I'm already thinking about at least one more, if not a couple more, because I love it. It looks so good. That little Henley detail is perfect because it's not super, super low, but it's low enough that it's not pushing on this pressure point, whatever that pressure point is that I'm very sensitive about right now. And it just fits so nicely. I think the big determining factor will be how long of sleeves I can get, and then I will know exactly how much sweater I can get for 2 skeins of yarn, because I don't have very many sweater quantities of 3 skeins or more, but I do have a few that are like 2 skeins, so I could definitely see myself making some more. That is that. And then this next one should be a little bit quicker. I mentioned this one on my March stash stats video, and that is my scrappy crochet basket, which you will notice is quite a bit bigger. I think when I shared it previously, I was like up here, and it just, this thing is growing so quickly, and I just absolutely love it. It has been such a joy to work on this. I was alternating working on this and the Sollas Tee, and then when I had to block it, it actually gave me that like breathing space of, I can't work on it because it's blocking it, or it's blocking. So I picked up a different project, which we'll talk about in a second. But it was really nice. It gave me a enforced break, which is what I needed. But yeah, this is a scrappy crochet basket. There is a blog post by My Poppet Makes that you can follow to make it. Basically, you crochet a hexagon for the bottom, and then you stop increasing and just work up the sides until you get to a certain point, and then there's some handles that you can put into it, and then a little bit more, and oh, I have been just loving it. It has been so much fun. I am using a 8mm, yes, an 8mm hook. This is just from a set off of Amazon. You can get them really inexpensively. That is a set that has like all of the sizes of crochet hooks, and I asked for it for Christmas, I think a couple years ago, and it has been amazing. And I am making this out of a bunch of different scraps of mostly just acrylic yarns. I know there's some that are wool. This is a bag that I've gathered together a bunch of my, I have a color theme of pink and blue and then a cream or like beige neutral. And so I have some more in here. You won't be able to really see it because this bag is not going to cooperate, but a bunch of random yarns. I was gifted a whole bunch of acrylic yarns in December last year, or maybe November. It was sometime around then. And in that there was 2 bags or maybe even 3 bags that was just like scraps and odds and ends of just like not full skeins, just random bits and bobs of balls of yarn. Some of them I am pretty sure, like this one I'm pretty sure is wool. I think this is going to be the tag for it, but it has the virgin. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a virgin wool, and it feels like a wool. It is funny because I never would have thought I would get to the point where I could so easily tell the difference between a wool and an acrylic, but especially working on this, I'm getting to the point where I can almost tell just by feel whether or not at the very least it has some wool in it. So mostly it's just been random like acrylic. Like I'm pretty sure this is some sort of like red heart or something like that. But then there is also some vintagey yarn. So like this one is, she got it for 59 cents. A wind tuck 4-ply 1 ounce. Just a white 100% Orlon acrylic yarn. So there's some vintage yarns in here. This one was some that I had. So this one was 100% virgin all-American wool. And so there's just been a few bits and bobs that I can tell are wool, and then a lot of, like this one I'm pretty sure is wool, just based off how it feels. And then mostly just a lot of acrylic yarn. And then what I've also done here and there is there's been a few like this where they're really quite thin. And so then I've just held multiple strands together. So you can see down here, there's like this browns and blues and stuff. Like in here I held like 5 or 6 strands together. And so I'm just aiming for around the worsted weight. And if one of the strands is smaller, I'll add up enough to that strand to make it a worsted weight, and then the other 2 will be worsted. Right now, I do think that this one is a little bit thinner, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm just going to finish up what's left of that and then add another one. And yeah, it's just been so much fun to work on, and so, I don't know, there's a certain amount of like it motivating because I'm using up these random odds and ends of yarn that I didn't know what I was going to use them for, and I'm already planning to make another basket. Like I'm so happy with it. I did originally, you can see in the center here, I started with 4 strands of like acrylic yarn held together, and I was trying to do that and I was like, this is just too thick, too much, and so I just dropped one of those strands, dropped the white strand, and just did 3 strands together. And yeah, it's been going along great. I did definitely notice initially when I first started working on it that my wrist was hurting a good bit, and so I was it was thinking about hurting. It wasn't actually hurting. And so I've just been trying to like really make sure that I'm like stretching and doing whatever to make sure that I'm not going to get wrist pain. I have struggled in the past with carpal tunnel, especially with like nursing babies and stuff. I noticed that it flared up more like when I was pregnant and whatnot, and just in general, even before having kids, I tended to get some wrist pain and have issues with that. And so I'm just trying to be cautious and aware of it. And I think that I did good because it's like I can feel that it's a little bit tender, but it almost feels more of a, you know, like if you stretch a muscle or like, I don't know, if you go walk really far and then like your legs are a little bit achy, but it's like the good kind of achy because it doesn't feel like you've hurt yourself. You've just really used those muscles. That's a little bit more of what it feels like. So I'm really happy about that because initially when I was working on it, I was like, uh-oh, am I even going to be able to do this? And I really tried. I took breaks pretty regularly because I was going back and forth between that and then like a fingering weight sweater project, and I was making sure to like really like stretch my arms, and there's a stretch you can do where it's like you do this and then you can feel it all the way up all the way up the arm. So just trying to do all of those sorts of things, and I love it. It's going to use so much yarn up, which is going to be great for my stash stats. I'm hoping that my April stash stats are a little bit better than my March ones. So far for the year, I'm still in the negatives, but not by much. So yes, highly, highly recommend that as a fantastic stash buster. Like I said, I'm mixing acrylics and wool and just all kinds of random stuff, and it's working out great. So one last whip, which is good because this video is going to be quite a bit longer than I had planned, but I kind of also expected that to happen. I have pulled out I meant to look it up before I did it, but it's my circle cardigan. It is technically named, it's like Irish Gaelic, I think, for circle, so it's a little bit different than just circle, but it's patterned by Albina McLaughlin, I think is how you pronounce the designer's name. I love her patterns. I have purchased so many of her patterns. I have not knit very many of her patterns, and I'm trying to change that this year. I just love her design style. She has so many amazing designs. But this was a project that I cast on during the 12 cast-ons back in January, and I set it down and I have been busily working away on other things, and I have been thinking about it ever since. I have wanted to pick this back up. So I've had a couple of kind of crummy days here in the last 2 or 3 days. Not sure exactly what's going on. Mentally, I felt a bit in a fog and just very heavy, and I don't want to say like anxious and depressed, but like just a cloud. Like everything feels heavy. Like I'm just annoyed and irritable, and it just seems like there's so much to do and I just can't ever keep up with it, and I'm exhausted, and I'm not sure exactly what it is. I don't know if it's kind of a reaction from the last 6 to 8 weeks of my boys have been sick. They've had a really bad cough, and it's just I have had a lot of demand upon me physically, mentally, emotionally, and with my time and energy and everything. And so I don't know if it's just a reaction from that my body is just kind of crashing, and just it hasn't been the best 2 or 3 days. It's been a struggle, and I really didn't want to work on my Sollas Tee. I was kind of in between. I wasn't sure what I needed to do. I didn't know if I needed to add more length to it or what. And so I was like, you know what? This is the time to pick back up my circle cardigan and work on it some more and just breathe and enjoy the joy of knitting rather than the pressure of test knitting. So I have. There's not much to show for it, honestly. It kind of looks like pretty much the same as what it would have looked like the last time I shared it, just slightly bigger. This pattern is very cool. It's a circle, hence why it's the circle cardigan, that then at some point you work on waist yarn to leave a spot for the sleeves, and then it has this giant ribbed front part, and it just looks so cozy and comfy, and I'm very excited about it. But right now I'm in the beautiful mindless knitting around and around and around and around, and it has been so much fun to pick this back up and work on it some more. Like, I'm so happy. I think when I picked it up, I was maybe at this blue stitch marker. These are marking my increases. It's super simple right now. Basically, you do an increase round and then you work 3 rounds of plain knitting, and an increase round, 3 rounds plain, increase round. It's so simple and so beautiful, and I can't remember if it was right around in there. Like maybe the orange to the blue, somewhere in there. And I'm just loving it. It's so nice. This yarn is the Mystery Mouse Yarn Co. Agatha Christie inspired advent calendar from 2023. Is it 2023? I think it's 2023. I went through this last year, or last time I talked about it, but I'm pretty sure it's 2023. And this was the 100 gram skein. Holly from Mr. Mouse Yarn Co. She dyes gorgeous yarns, and for her advent calendars, she does 12 minis and then one 100 gram skein. So I've got my 100 gram skein, and then I have all of my minis wound up in here. I'm planning to use all of the minis for that giant, gorgeous ribbed edging, and I am planning to use this 100 gram skein for the back portion of it. So yeah, it is knitting up beautifully. I absolutely love it. This color is gorgeous. And then I don't have quite enough yarn to do the whole cardigan. I think I need one more skein for like the sleeves, but I'm not sure. So yeah, I'm working on that. I have a few more increased rounds before I have to do the sleeve portion, and then I think I have to just knit more of the giant circle, and then you have to do the ribbing, which apparently from all the project pages takes an absolute age. So I'm not expecting to be done with that anytime soon, but it has been just so lovely to pick it up again and work on it and work a few rows and just, no pressure, no requirements. It's just for me, and I needed that. I really needed that. So that is all that I have as far as knitting and crocheting and crafting content. I'll do just a tiny little life update here at the end, because yeah, I'm trying to get this last test knit done. I signed up for one more, also by Rebecca of the Cray Baby Podcast. If you don't know, she's publishing a book later this year, and I signed up for one of her book pattern test knits. I don't know yet if I got into it or not. We'll see. I should know within the next day or two. But it's just a vest, and it's using stash yarn, and so that should be pretty simple. The deadline's very generous because that's how Rebecca does things. So we'll see if I got into that one. But other than that, I am avoiding all test knits for the foreseeable future. I think that I could still do a few throughout the year, but I think what I would try and do is limit it to specific designers and do like just Rebecca, just one or two other designers, and just go from there. And for the rest of the time, I just want to play. I just want to play with my knitting and just enjoy it and have fun with it and do whatever I want. So that is that. Life update stuff. Not too much has been going on. Like I said, the boys have been sick. They're slowly getting better. Obviously, as I'm filming, and I haven't had to chop this up into a million pieces and film it on different days and stuff, they are getting better. It seemed like my 1.5-year-old, he was getting a bit better, and then he kind of took a turn, and he got worse again, and then they were both like stuffy and snotty, and there was one night where I swear I didn't get to bed to properly sleep until 3 in the morning. It was just rough. It's been a rough several weeks, couple of months. Ugh. But we have a lot to look forward to. You know, spring is coming. Spring is here. Spring is very much here, but like the lovely, nice weather is coming back. Like this last week, we spent so much time outside with the boys just playing, and I was able to sit on the porch and just kind of knit and watch knitting podcasts or read books. And that's been just lovely. It's been very much what I have needed. Because yeah, like I said, it's been really rough. I feel very, very drained, and you know, it's like a ghost of myself. A little bit. That's a little dramatic, but like, especially the last few days, that's really what I've felt like, is just the shadow of my normal self. And so it's just a recovery phase for all of us, for the boys to get a little bit better, for me to kind of recoup from the last couple of months. But yeah, we're all doing well. Loving our backyard right now before the mosquito infestation occurs. We've been living in this house for almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years this year. And unfortunately, over the summer, we tend to get very, 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 very bad mosquitoes to where you can't really go out in the backyard at all. You just get swarmed with mosquitoes, and it's really frustrating. But in the spring and the fall, our backyard is heavenly. It is amazing to just be able to go out there with the boys and just let them play, because they're very much still in that little young phase. We don't really have to worry about school or anything just yet. It's just entertaining their minds and their bodies, and getting outside is like the best way to do that. And then I get to get outside and get some fresh air, and we've been doing some walks in the evening because it's finally been bright enough. I really miss that in the winter, because during the like early fall and in the spring and in the summer, when my husband gets home, we usually try to go for a walk, either immediately after he gets home, or it's now getting to the point that it's bright enough that we can eat supper and then go for a walk and then get home and put the boys to bed. Like, it's just, oh, I love this time of year so much. I so appreciate those walks and getting to get out there, and it's really nice because it's a time for my husband and I to just chat and hang out and spend time together. Like, we've got the kids with us in the stroller, but they're mostly distracted. I'll try and feed them snacks or whatever, and then we just can just talk, whether it's talking about my husband's work day, or I'll tell him about, you know, some knitting thing or some other random thing that I'm thinking about, and it's just really lovely. I've been watching a lot of knitting podcasts. I've been catching up with Kirsty from Kirsty Knits and Sews. She has a lot of older episodes that I haven't seen, and it has been very comforting to watch a lot of her older videos that just, it's so simple, and it's just a lot of knitting stuff. And I feel like right now my brain's a little bit of mush. Like, it just feels like everything is so much, and so my brain is just like, I can't handle anything else. So I've just been rereading cozy books and watching Kirsty's episodes, and then a few other people. Like, it's mainly where it's like if there aren't any new uploads from my favorite channels, then I go back and watch hers. I just started watching some Finnish knitting stories, the podcast channel. I've heard it mentioned a few times, but I haven't really tried to watch it before. And then just this week I watched a couple of them, and I absolutely loved it. It was so delightful. I think the lady's name is Yana. I think that's how it is. And she just seems like such a joy, like such a fun person to know. So I'm hoping to watch a few more of her back episodes as well. I've been rereading some Patricia Wentworth books. I've mentioned them many times, but her Miss Silver series is just amazing, and I love it so much, and it is very much a comfort read for me. So I've reread a few of those. I just reread Sollas by Robin McKinley. It's one of her like fairy tale type books, and I don't know what it is about that book, but I just absolutely love it. It is so cozy, and I feel like it's very fitting for springtime because there are so many descriptions of like the countryside and the land and taking care of the land, and it's full of like bees and honey, and like that's a key aspect to it. And it's a very clean, very wholesome, like really fun fantasy fairy tale book that I have read many, many times, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to reread that, and it's been delightful. I've been making my way through North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. That is a book that I have reread. This might be my third time reading through it, and there is an amazing mini-series based off of it. It has Richard Armitage as Mr. Thornton, and I can't remember the main actress lady, who is Margaret Hale, but it is just such a good miniseries. And I mentioned in my last podcast that I had just finished reading through Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and I was like reading the book and watching the miniseries at the same time, and oh man, like it just heightened the enjoyment of both of them, because I did not realize that the BBC Pride and Prejudice takes so many direct quotes from the books and it is so accurate to the book, which is just a delight to my reader's soul. And so I've been rereading North and South, and I'm hoping once I finish that to watch the miniseries, because it's just one of my favorites. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been reading and watching. Not really listening to too much. This is a random thing, but I recently heard Love is Blue by Paul, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Marriott or something. I'll link it down below, maybe pop a picture of it up here, but it's an instrumental piano song, which is my favorite kind of music. I'm kind of picky on my music, and so my favorite kind of music is just instrumental music. I love Phil Coulter, and Frank Mills has some great ones. His Frank Mills Music Box Dancer is one that made me get into playing piano, and someday I will have learned how to play that song because I love that song. And there's a few other ones, and so I'll listen to them sometimes on YouTube, and so then YouTube suggested the Love is Blue song, and I don't know what it is about that song, but it like randomly bits of it will go through my head, just the different instrumental musical bits of it. So I've been listening to that one a lot. I'll link it down below if you were curious to have a listen on that one. But yeah, that's kind of a rambling where I'm at, what we've been doing. I've been doing a bit more sewing. But we'll talk about that another time. I think this has been more than long enough. So if you've made it all the way through, thank you so much for sticking with me. I'd love to know what sort of spring plans you have ahead of you, whether that's just work or taking care of children or cozying up at home or working on your homestead or farm or what have you. I'd love to know what sort of knitting plans you have, or just life plans, springy life plans. If you have any favorite like spring reads or spring movies or anything like that you really enjoy at this time of year, I'd love to hear it. If you leave a comment down below, it will probably take me a hot minute to respond to it, but do know that I read all of them. It just takes me a little bit to respond. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here and supporting this channel and just interacting. It has been really lovely to kind of grow a little community of people here that I can talk to and think of as my friends. So that's been just delightful. But I hope you're all well. I hope you are doing lots of knitting and that it is bringing you immense amounts of joy. And I will talk to you on the next one. Bye!